Hello, comic book readers, and welcome to a special episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Yeah, normally Tiffany's with me here in the studio, but we just got back from Baltimore Comic Con just this past weekend. In fact, if you were at Baltimore Comic Con, maybe you even saw one of us walking the floor because we literally were at Baltimore Comic Con up until only several hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk about that. But of course, this is a comic book show. So we're going to be talking about all the new books that came out the past week that we read and enjoyed. And you might notice a little bit of a light week this
Yeah,
past week.
very much so. I thought I read somewhere that there was a supply shortage or outage or something, which I mean, we've heard about across the board for a lot of industries. So it wouldn't surprise me, especially with a print company when paper is hard to come by.
That's right.
So,
And in
yeah.
fact, that paper shortage is actually going to impact the plans going forward from a number of your favorite publishers. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we just recently found out, I think, last night, Image Comics announced that they will not be doing second editions
Yeah. Yeah. Second
and
runs.
second runs. So if a book is a runaway success, like for example, let's say Saga came back in August, which I understand it's going to.
Well, yes, I think that this is I think 100% this is because of a paper shortage because paper is really expensive. It goes up every year, and then to have a shortage is going to skyrocket the price. Print is expensive across the board.
Yes.
You don't think it is because it's like you buy paper for your printer, it's not that expensive. But when you're talking about paper of different qualities and quantities
Yeah,
and with specific reason and the amount that they have to utilize, it costs a lot. But I
it's
think
true.
it's also going to help to generate some more like
Scarcity.
scarcity for some of their books, especially since they know Substack is coming. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Has already
Um,
come. There's some books, not necessarily finished books, but pages
yeah.
at least. You can look at the process by which some
Hmm.
of these Substack creators are coming up with their projects.
For sure. And I also think that it will potentially help the retailer. It's either going to push it to digital because that's the only way you're going to be able to get it, or it's going to help the local comic book store because you're going to need a pull list. You're
This is
going
true.
to need to know that you want this in the store, and you're going to need to be able to tell your retailer how many to purchase.
And at the end of the day, if you want your favorite series to survive, if you want
Hmm.
your books to continue into multiple, maybe even double digits, you need to pre-order your books. And I'm sorry, like there are so many people out there who every time you talk about the pre-ordering thing say, I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't believe in that business model, and so I will not. And it's like, okay,
Right.
well, then get ready to not believe in the books you read because they're going to be canceled. It's like, it doesn't matter how much, it's not Tinkerbell. It doesn't matter how many times you clap your freaking hand. You got to get this thing going. And if you want your book to survive, you got to pre order. I literally, we generated a new recent pull list at a local comic book store, Dewey's Comic City in
Yes.
Dover, New Jersey, which you should check out because it's also in the art store for the Joe Kubert School.
Yeah. So it's a little
And
piece of history too.
exactly. But we worked out a pull list with them. I have a pull list over at Zap Comics in Wayne, New Jersey as well,
Hmm.
just because I love both stores and I want to see them both succeed.
Hmm.
But it was so much easier to go in and I got all the first runs of the indie books that you buy.
Yes.
It was so convenient. I could go in on Thursday
Yeah.
and be like, here are all the books. And I didn't have to worry about like, did some speculator come in and buy it all?
And that's honestly where I find it to be the most useful. They tend to overorder on the big two, but
Yeah.
on the indie stuff, they don't know, and I don't blame them. There's no way they could possibly know how a book's going to hit when it's an
No.
independent creator, new story. Sure, they might think a number one might sell a little bit better, but they don't really know how much better, and they don't want to get caught with all these extra issues that they're going
Exactly.
to end up throwing in a dollar bin.
Right.
So
Right.
the pull list for me there is like if I want a physical, I don't feel so bad about having the pull list in that arena because I feel like it's a responsible thing to
Yeah, exactly.
do.
By the way, of course, this show is brought to you by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, well, congratulations. You're one of the lucky few who can sponsor today's episode with your super chats by asking a
Mhm.
question or comment. And we'll read them here on the show, integrate them into the show. We also want to thank
Yeah.
our friends over at Comixology. We want to tell you to get ready to celebrate Scottober this October with 3 brand new titles from acclaimed comic book creator Scott Snyder and Comixology Originals, featuring art from superstar artists Greg Capullo, Francesco Francavilla, and Francis Manipal. These titles will be released throughout the month of October and will be available via Comixology Unlimited Try Comixology Unlimited today with a free 30-day trial. It's free. Get an unlimited access to over 40,000 comics, graphic novels, and manga. Go to comixology.com/unlimited now to begin your adventure. So,
Yeah.
and by the way, you can read Night of the Ghoul. I think that's coming out either this week or it's already come out.
Yes.
Clear, and we are demons, or have demons.
We have demons.
We have them.
You always want it to be "We are demons."
It's true. It's true.
That's the comic pop motto.
Yes, we are demons. Yeah, that's the thing. Is his is we have demons. We are demons here at Comic Pop. But we have some great people here today. Brian Rowlands mentions Late Night Off the Rack. Let's go. I thought Death of Doctor Strange 2 was a fun, fast read.
We'll get into that for sure.
That's
100%.
Right.
We'll talk about that.
Your boy Chips Ahoy. Good evening. Hope y'all are good. You too, man. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed United States of Cap. The Cap network should have been more developed, but for what it is, it's good. Yes, I remember I remember hearing about that like a year and a half ago, and finally we get that kind of like realized. Yes, I'm sure that, and that's the thing is like when people were detracting it, it's like, dude, it's only going to be like this thing, and then sure enough, there it was, and it left people wanting more. Raj Patel, Superman and Nightwing are still the best books DC's producing in the current continuity, and one of them is just a tie-in issue. Taylor's really hitting it out of the park. Agreed, Nightwing is a tie-in, and I did read it, and I enjoyed it. We'll talk more about that in a minute.
Okay.
Because Elizabeth Russell has to say, hey guys, hope you're doing well. We are, thank you very much.
Hi.
I have started reading Deadpool, and I was wondering if you could recommend any runs. I like the versions where he is more serious and less goofy.
I'm out for that because I only know some of the more goofy ones, so I can't help you there, unfortunately.
Well, recommend your run on Daredevil or Deadpool that you enjoyed.
Well, I like the Kelly Thompson one, but I will say he's far more sarcastic in that. But and I'm not saying like there's like some seriousness to it because he is hurting, but trust me, it is very sarcastic and a bit jokey. But I still enjoyed it anyway. But take it over, Sal.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I don't like Deadpool most of the time, but Cullen Bunn did write this amazing Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and that's the one you're going to want to read if you want a serious Deadpool. Joe Kelly also introduced us to a more kind of like sad clown version of Deadpool.
Sad clown, yeah.
There's, Brian Posehn's is also really funny, technically. It's not as funny as I find Brian Posehn to be, but it's still good. So yeah, I check that out. Big thanks to Danny Ollie for your super sticker, which I can't see right now, but I'm sure it is. Comics Kings bombs in to say, glad you guys made it back safely from Baltimore Comic-Con. He was there too. And
thank you
saw
so
him.
much.
Nerd King 101 Saturday Night Live Pop.
Sunday night
Live Pop. Will it take over Saturday Night Live? Look forward to the show. I hope you are both doing well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Did something happen? Did people hear that we're not doing well? I appreciate the kind wishes, but more people are like, are you all right?
And we were traveling, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
I think
true.
I think it's very polite.
I think it is. I think it's very,
I
really
very
appreciate
polite.
it. Thank
and
you.
I want to say thank you to those who have noticed my space behind me. A very different arena for a lot of you to see me in.
That's true. Yeah, normally we're in the Comic Pop studio, which is where I am right now, and that's literally just the reason why we're doing it like this. Normally, it's much more intimate because Tiffany's like right here or here. But the reason why we're not doing it that way is because I wanted to do this because Tiffany and I have to go into New York City tomorrow. We have to watch a movie that Marvel is putting out. And I can't say any more than that, but it's going to take up a lot of time. And we got to get the Halloween episode out by Wednesday. So a lot of things are happening. And so we thought, hey, let's just jump in and do Off the Rack live tonight on Sunday. You get it on Monday. No, we're not missing a beat here, Morty. We're not missing a beat. But yeah, so that's why we're seeing two different versions. But I like Tiffany's studio and your workspace. And if you want to see more of it, you can follow us over on twitch.tv/ComicPop and watch Tiffany play video games. You're going to be playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is coming out soon.
It's literally coming out Tuesday at midnight. So it's like in my head, that's Monday night, but it's technically Tuesday morning. Right. But it's coming out on Tuesday, and I'm going to jump in on that for sure.
Cool. So if you want to see a first look at the Guardians of the Galaxy game coming from Marvel, you can't go wrong watching Tiffany play it, because I know you're also going to try and get ahead of some of those skins because, like, the originals aren't great.
Yes. I mean, we'll see, but yes.
Yeah. Sol Moretti says, or Moretti says, can't watch, dead tired post work. Have a good week. You too.
Oh, no problem.
Get some rest. Thank you so much. So let's jump into some books.
Okay.
Oh, right. Before we do, Obviously, this is the show where we take the books of the past week, recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then give you recommendations for comics that are coming out this week, which is Tuesday and Wednesday, that we think you should pick up. We also went to Baltimore Comic-Con, so we want to talk about that a little bit before we get into the comics. And so let's do that. Let's talk a little bit about Baltimore, because we also went to New York Comic-Con 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I know that, like, as we get further and further into, like, the booster period of the coronavirus, people are wondering when we're going to get back to normal, when we're going to get back to, like, some semblance of normalcy.
Right.
And I want to give you some light at the end of the tunnel, because, like, there are quite a few members of our audience who may have been brought in during that time. And so you only know comics, or maybe Comic Pop, during a time of crisis and coronavirus. So let's talk a little bit about how the con season has been going. We did New York Comic Con, obviously, 2 weeks ago. Not a lot has come out of that. Obviously, the big 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 didn't come to the convention, so it was just a very bare. It's seeming superficially bare bones, but when you get there, didn't really miss anything. Same stable of creators, same merchants, and same fans as you'd normally expect. Maybe a little bit more room, and of course it's twofold, because, like, you had the room from the lack of the big guns, and also the Javits had just finished building out for the first time in 10 years. So hey, ample opportunities for both. So that went well, and it's because I think of the tireless efforts from the people at Reed, and the clear option, like the restrictions in New York, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because in New Jersey, restrictions a little bit more loosey goosey. You can go anywhere you want, and people are like, "Oh, could you wear a mask? Would you mind?" Oh, I don't want to upset anybody. New York, they're like, you can't come in here.
Yes. Well, it's all based on trust in Jersey, and in New York, you need an app, and you need any number of apps that they have. And New York Comic Con embraced it. They embraced the app process, and you had your app, and you went in. You got this cloth-based wristband with a terrifying stopper on it, because if you put the stopper up too far, it wouldn't go back down.
Yep. So, which I did immediately.
I know.
I had a death grip on my wrist, and I'm like, and we were at the tent city, and they were like, you guys were like, do you want to get them to put another one on? And I'm like, nah. And then I realized, I thought about showering for 2 more days without it, and I'm like, yes. So yeah, we did that. But anyway, that's New York. But in the light of New York, we talked a little bit about New York and how well they handled it, and how how much more comfortable people seemed to be. On hand, the amount of people that I saw that were rules, and I didn't see them pervasively throughout the show. I could probably count on one hand, maybe even fewer than 5 fingers, the amount of people I saw who were not observing the rules properly.
Yeah, most people. I think people are just happy to be there, and that was very exciting. Just happy to be there.
Exactly. Baltimore, same exact deal. And I will say, Baltimore didn't have the same, like, it didn't have all the bells and whistles and apps and tech that were involved, but the principles were still there. Right? They wanted you to feel safe. They wanted to make sure that there were mandates in place, that there were vaccine requirements within. And so if you needed to get in, you kind of had to follow the rules, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure.
We had a number of cancellations. Baltimore Comic Con, we've told you, if you like this show and you've heard it at least for a year, you know that we've been hyping up Baltimore Comic Con forever.
Yes, we really like the show. It's a real comic book convention without feeling like a small local con. It feels like a real legitimate con, but like focused on comic books.
Yeah, it feels like one of the big guns, but it has the respect and the cachet of your favorite comic book creators and local merchants and indie artists. So, and that's the thing, is comic books are the big focus of that show. So it's like, wow, how cool. And as a result, they've gotten some pretty big names over the years, for over a decade. And now, in light of the uncertainty of the coronavirus, they had a number of people who were hyped probably a year ago. And then we got into the Delta variants and whatnot, and they were like, and we lost, I don't know, probably over a dozen creators, big names, people like Bendis and the Simonsons and Chaykin and Frank Miller.
Yeah.
And people who you'd understand why they might be
Yes,
more cautious,
for sure.
right? But that didn't discount the people who were there, like
No.
Tom King, Mitch Gerrards, Doc Shaner, Jim Shooter was there,
Yes.
Philip Kennedy Johnson was there,
Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis was there, Cliff Chong was there,
Brian K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan, a number of creators, and we talked to almost all of them, not on camera, because you guys don't care about that, but maybe
No.
you might care about hearing us talk a little bit about it. So let's talk a little bit about our experience at Baltimore. We went from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had a number of things signed and interacted with. I got my Superman Up in the Sky signed by Tom King.
You sure did.
And it was great. It's, King's a funny guy. If you've ever watched this show or our sister show, Elseworlds Exchange, you probably know that already because you've seen Tom on the show at least twice. And, he remembered me and was happy to sign this. Really, really personal message. Nothing, but he did sign it. And I do appreciate the love and effort that went into it.
I have the same thing with Supergirl. I realize now what I should have said was I should have been like, can you write on here, I write the words that are in this book.
Right.
To take on my, I like to read the words that are in this book, but I thought of it now.
Yeah.
So once time travel becomes part of our everyday lives, I will be able to go back and remedy that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Along the same lines, I also got Our Strange Adventures signed by Mitch and Doc and Tom King.
Yep.
They were all very, very kind. They're just all three friends. So it's so funny because it's like simultaneously like, hooray, I'm getting it signed, but like also like I feel like I'm infringing on the hangout.
Right.
But
because they don't get to see each other in person.
They don't, but they're super nice and easily flattered.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, they're terrific folks.
Yeah.
They also had like some stuff for sale. I kept considering getting the Superman Red and Blue print that Doc Shaner did.
You did.
I didn't get it, but I got so many other things.
Maybe another time
for it. Exactly. But yeah. So what else did we do while we were there?
Well, I had the chance to get a couple things signed by Chris Bachalo, who was there.
Right.
Chris Bachalo was there. I was like, oh my God, this is never going to happen again. So Doctor Strange, my number one of Jason Aaron's, who I already had signed by Jason Aaron. I also got signed by Chris Bachalo and Tim Townsend, who is the inker, who we then later saw looking desperately for a burger.
Yes, that was great.
He had like a brief lunch break and then was like, do you guys know any places? He was like stuck on the Sky Bridge thing because he couldn't get in. And we're like, oh, we can just buzz you in via the hotel.
Yeah.
And and then he's like, do you know where to go? And we're like, no.
No, I mean, like, we've been going here for 10 years, but we have no idea where to eat because
if you were in New Jersey, maybe we could help you out. But I got nothing, my friend. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he ever ate.
No, but
we
do
did.
know that he had a hard time because he was like, oh, the ramen place is closed. Then he tried it anyway, then found it was like going to be a 20-minute wait.
We tried it too. We were like, oh, I'll try it anyway. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, and then we intercepted each other again like a couple times. It was great.
Yeah.
But he's a peach. Everybody's great. There were no unpleasant folks. By the Peter Tomasi was there. I saw him in New York, so I didn't even bother him this time. But like he was there too.
Didn't bother him. Or what Sal actually did was, as we were walking through the con, at one point he was walking the opposite direction of us, and Sal just yelled out, "Hey Pete!" Like he knew him, like they were friends. Tomasi turned around and was like, "Hey," but like had this look of utter confusion on his face.
You suggested it was more like, "Hey," like "Hey."
Do I know you?
Did I just get tricked?
I don't know. Yes, it was spectacular.
Yeah. I met Philip Kennedy Johnson for the first time, just accidentally. I was congratulating David Pepos for his Ringo Award winning book, The OZ.
Yeah.
And we were just chatting, and I just, was offering my congratulations, and PKJ walked up and was just like, and just congratulated him, and they were talking. I'm like, hey, you guys are like industry people, so I'm gonna get out of here and just go do the show. And he's like, oh, hey, well, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm Philip. And I'm like, I know.
You're like, I know who you are.
Yeah, but I tried to keep it cool. I don't think I did, but I tried.
I think you did. I wasn't there, but
you weren't there, so you don't know.
You told me. I don't know.
I did meet Cliff Chung, although you did not, because you were at the Brian K. Vaughan meet and greet. He was very magnanimous and friendly, and he was happy to sign this a copy of Paper Girls, which had already been signed by Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah, which was great. And I did go to the meet and greet thanks to Sal, because so here's what sucks. It doesn't really suck because it's understandable. But what sucks is I bought Sal a meet and greet with Frank Miller for his birthday, and then Frank Miller canceled. And simultaneously, Sal went and got me the Brian K. Vaughan meet and greet. I guess so I had something to do while he was at his, which he didn't have to do. But then it turns out only I got to go to a meet and greet and Sal got to do nothing.
That's not true. I walked the floor. I had a good time.
I know. But I went to the Brian K. Vaughan meet and greet, and I'm sure some of you saw some like of my tweets because the meet and greet was actually like a mini panel where people could just ask questions. And instead of me trying to sit there and desperately come up with a question, because in those instances I have no brain power, I just listened to everything he said and tried to record as much as I could because he doesn't really do interviews. So I was like, this is really good information, like talking about the fact that Saga is coming back and that, yes, in fact, it is going to have a time jump. And the time jump will probably cover just about the time of the hiatus. Like we'll have missed the adventures of Hazel and Fam from the time
2018?
Yes, till now. So about that time, he also made sure to say that like he's like, it wasn't because of Why the Last Man. He's like, I didn't really work on that.
Oh.
Like during that time we took a break because he'd finished Ex Machina, and then he was like, listen, I needed a break from comics for a little bit after that. I just finished that. I just needed a minute. And so he took that minute, and during that time, Fiona Staples had a baby. And then Brian K. Vaughan had another baby. And so now they're here and they're ready to come back and they're excited. And like I said in my tweet, like he has always known what the last panel of Saga will be. Someone asked if it had changed since he originally came up with it. No, it's exactly what it's going to be. He knows timeline wise and like story wise what characters will die, what characters will be introduced, and that almost never changes for him. And like I said in my tweet as well that like someone already knows the ending and how it's supposed to go. Because he's like, just in case something, what if I get hit by a bus or something? Like Fiona doesn't like to know. She doesn't want to be spoiled.
Right.
And so she finds out the scripts like when she gets them. She doesn't want to know. The only thing she wants to know is A, Lion Cat will never die, and neither will Goose. Those are her two favorites.
That's
She's
what
like,
she wants.
She's like, you could kill Hazel, that's fine. Just not those two.
Yes.
So Brian's like, all it does is make me want to kill them even more.
No.
I'm like, you're not funny. You're not funny, bro. I'm sorry.
Did you want to pitch your idea for
Yeah, I wish I had said this. I didn't think about it till later, but I was like, will there be lying kittens? And then instead of like them saying lying, it's just like a pile of them and they say fib. Because they're babies.
Yeah, I want to see Fiona Staples draw a basket of lion cats, and they just fib, because that's like a mew.
Yeah. So I thought that was like an adorable idea. I also pitched that he should work with Nick Darrington.
Oh yeah,
I would like to see that.
Who did he say he wanted to work with again?
Frank Quitely.
Frank Quitely. Yeah,
which is fine with me.
Right.
Also a good choice. Good choice, Brian.
Will Brian K. Vaughan be returning to the Big Two at any point?
No, he would prefer not to. He said that as much as he enjoyed his time with them, he much prefers to create his own characters. Working with Image with The Walking Dead and Kirkman, and like he was so honored to have that opportunity, and he couldn't believe that they let him just do his own thing with that whole whatever they were doing over there.
Right.
But from it, he realized how much he missed making his own characters and writing his own stories, and so maybe we'll see him there, but like probably not unless there's a good reason.
Right. Now, as part of that meet and greet, you also got a chance to get a few things signed. I know they gave you tickets for how many pieces?
10. And I brought 2, so I was a loser, but I wasn't getting anything CGC'd. I did ask him to personalize because I always want like this is for me. This isn't an investment. This is just for me. So I got Runaways signed because in the past I had gotten several Saga issues signed. So I was like, let's do something else. So we did that, and then of course The Oath.
Yay.
Because this is the gateway drug, I think, for anybody when it comes to Doctor Strange. It's the easiest way, I think, to get into that character. So I was like, we got to do it.
Definitely.
Also, my cat had chewed on the corner of the plastic bag, which I only realized when I was sitting there, and that I had still had a Post-it note, which I took out in here from when we did this on back issues. I was like, oh no, I'm going to look like a really big dork.
I thought that was a great gateway to make it into a conversation, but
well, he asked anyway because he saw it on my name because I held my name up because with masks on, sometimes it's hard to like convey what your name is or spelling, and like you're in a room and people are talking. It wasn't like cacophonous, but I still was like, here, this is how it's spelled.
Right.
Don't assume letters.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten some random spellings of my name, even though I'm
sure.
Okay. But yeah, so that was such a nice treat, and I'm very thankful to Sal for providing that for me and letting me go to that. We got like a really great print from them as well of the cover. I'm putting the mic in front of my face in order to pull it out if I can. That's not it. Either. There it is. Nope, that's not it. I'll find it. Sal, you talk.
All right. Well, Anthony Morelli says that he is at work. He just wanted to pop in and ask our thoughts on season 3 and 4 of Young Justice. As far as I know, only Joel's even talking about it. I'm not watching it. I didn't watch any of those seasons, so I can't say anything to that effect. But thank you. This is the cover of the next issue of Saga.
It's just a
also
really
print.
dope print, and then the other side was Paper Girls because they're working on Paper Girls. Whether or not we see it, that's up to Amazon. Amazon makes that decision because.
And how much Paper Girls is done?
He said he had just the night before watched episode 6 in his room.
Episode 6 of Paper Girls, a show that some people don't even know is even a show.
Yeah, because Amazon apparently will shoot it and then they'll like show it to a bunch of like marketers and like test groups and all that stuff. And then he's like, hopefully it'll see the light of day. According to the best thing we could do is to buy Paper Girls and/or write our congressman. That was his suggestion.
Good suggestion.
Thanks, Brian.
Pork Chop says, I love you guys. Thanks for everything. Well, thank you, Pork Chops, for being here and watching the show. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Any other highlights from Baltimore you want to jump into?
Yeah, of course. One more thing is that I got to talk to Garth Ennis.
Yes, you did.
It was, I mean, like, Sal and I were both hilariously on that line with like really sort of random books because Sal had Bloodlines Hitman.
I did. I had the Demon Annual number 2, which was the introduction to Hitman. I had 2 copies. I was like, whatever, I'll get him to sign this. I have 1 issue of Preacher, and it's not especially important to me. I love Preacher. That's like the thing that I love Garth Ennis for the most.
Mm-hmm.
But he already signed my volume 1. So I don't need to do any more.
Right.
I don't really I like his Punisher, but I don't care enough to have it signed. It's not like it means that much to me. So I didn't have anything for that.
Right.
I also didn't have any good single issues for that anyway. And outside of that, I wanted to sign Sarah, but like thanks to TKO, the books are like so weirdly sized. I couldn't like travel with it. So
yes,
I didn't bring Sarah, but he did say that Sarah is getting 2 chapters. Like they're getting 2 sequels.
Yeah, and that I heard him say that it was one of his favorites that he's ever read.
He did. He loves Sarah, and if you haven't read it, it's from TKO Productions. Sarah is a really good series where if you're sick of like really cynical, miserable Ennis, I mean, like this book is unhappy, but it's also historically awesome and like pulled directly from real history, and it's a really dope ass story. And obviously, it's not going to be like a true sequel to Sarah, but it's in the same universe, and it's just like from different perspectives and different areas of the war, and so that's kind of cool. Like I'm down for that. But I brought my Hitman issue. I was like, this would be funny.
Right.
I'm like, here, I got some garbage for you to sign, but I just wanted to talk to you for a minute and like chat about Sarah. If you want to know more, if you like this show, you like Elseworlds Exchange, guess what? Garth came on the show to pimp Sarah. It might be on ComicPop Prime, but either way, just look up ComicPop and Garth Ennis interview and you'll find it.
No, for sure.
But you got to talk to him, and you practically did an interview with him for like a good 5 minutes.
I did not. Because I had Hellblazer issue 43, which is 2 away from the first time he jumped onto the book, but has one of my favorite images and one of the only like floppies that we have, like singles. But I love the image of like the cancer realized within John in like a nightmarish scape. And I brought that up, and it is a well-loved, very beat-up copy. And like he even commented on that, but like everyone else in line either had 41, The Boys, Punisher. That was the main ones I saw up and down the line. So we just chatted about John, and I made sure to call him John because I knew the American in me was not going to say the name correctly. I knew that. And I made a comment on that, and the guy next to him was like, well, how do you say it? And I'm like, well, I'm like, I say Constantine, but that's not how I believe it's said. According to Ennis, because of the fact that Alan calls him Constantine, that's his name.
Right.
That's his name. That's it. That's the end of it. I was like, okay, that's fair. It's very hard for me to unlearn.
Yeah.
What Brand already has. Wait, he was super, super nice, super friendly. We had a really interesting conversation about the character of John and, where he comes from and what he's all about. And the fact that the reason that I personally like him is because he's fallible, because he represents some of the worst of us. And that's what makes him an uncomfortable hero to read sometimes, because we might see a little bit of ourselves in him, but he has the ability to do good. And for him, he just loves the idea that with superheroes, there's always a loss to doing something heroic. And oftentimes it's that human part. And for John, he definitely lost that.
Yeah.
So we could have kept talking, but I felt bad. And so I was like, okay, I should probably go.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
I love that.
for the
But
record, you ended the conversation, but you would have liked to have kept it going. So,
for sure.
Garth, if your representatives are watching, please know that was not intentional. It was just in deference to the line, which
Yeah,
was considerable.
yeah, but it was really, really nice. And that was honestly a highlight because he was so, so friendly. And like, I had no idea. I'd never met him before. I'd seen him in your interview. And it's not that he wasn't friendly there, but like, I don't know. I just didn't know what to expect. And he was just
No,
so nice.
that's
So,
right.
so nice. So
Yeah,
overall, fantastic.
I would recommend it. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. No, and if you haven't read any Hellblazer, of course I'm going to tell you to go back to the Delano stuff. The first Hellblazer runs, they're great. But if you're like, you know what? I just want to read the Ennis stuff, you can. It's okay. You can jump in there. And Ennis's John, I love him. I love him so much. He is such a bastard. And like for Ennis, he's like, listen, it's the fact that like when he was introduced in Swamp Thing, he's like, I'm a nasty bit of business. And he's like, that's what he is. He is that. Like he is that 100% through and through. And so he writes him like that, but like there is the potential for goodness.
Yeah,
If you can get through it all. If you
exactly.
get through all of the bollocks.
Tinfoil Tyrant says, hope everything is, everyone's having a good evening. We are. Thank you very much. Much love to you too, Tinfoil. Ollie Davis mentioned, happy to hear that Saga News, stoked it won't be a show.
Yeah, that was... Sorry, go ahead.
Any predictions or hopes for when it comes back? Also, thanks for the update on Twitter, Tiffany. I couldn't make it to Baltimore Comic-Con.
Oh, sure, no problem. Again, that panel was it was like a secret panel, and he just opened it up, and it just turned into a panel of him just talking about his projects, which was fantastic.
Yep.
He couldn't talk to us about Paper Girls really too much because, they're also shopping Y the Last Man Around. They're trying to not let it end.
Right. So, yes, if you heard the show got canceled before the whole season, I think, dropped.
He said, according to him, it's funny because he said FX didn't pick it up. So I was like, okay. But yeah, someone was like, so now do you think you'd ever want to do Saga as a TV show? And he like, with the ability that people like that they have with Invincible, for example, making it a cartoon, like, would you consider going that? He's like, it's not just that I don't think they couldn't do it. It's I don't want it to.
Yay.
Like, I don't think that's going to change. And I was like, I wanted to applaud, but no one else reacted. And I was like, I don't want to be that person.
Right. It's just like,
yeah, but I was like, yes, thank you. Thank you. That's all I've ever wanted to hear, was that you're committed to that promise that like, this is where this is supposed to be. This is the medium that this story is meant to be in. So super exciting.
Totally. Goku said Sunday live stream feels special. Lol, hope Baltimore was fun. It was indeed. Thank you, Goku. Yeah, we had a great time. We had these great creator interactions. I should also mention that if you've ever seen me, if you know us from the podcast Word Balloon, then you know John Suntress, who was also there, and he was doing some work. And we actually got to hang out, get dinner together, and hung out with, I got to meet for the first time Jim McLaughlin, who wrote the columns for Wizard and so much more. And that was kind of a fun little fandom moment for me as well. But but getting to hang out and have dinner with John was a really was an added treat and a rare privilege. And I'm really like lucky to have had that experience. And I just want to say, it's really fun to hang out with him. And
for sure. Before we move on from talking about the con, I just want to show off Sal's like dope like lithoprint.
Sure, yeah. So because the Frank Miller thing didn't work out, they did provide these Frank Miller lithographs of like, I think it's his art as well, which is like, dude, still got it. But it's still dope, and he signed them, and we actually just rolled it over to the following year. So next year we'll see. Next year in Baltimore.
Yeah, maybe Frank Miller. And then I just want to give a shout out to Afua Richardson for not only looking fabulous every day of the con. Woman comes dressed in cosplay each day. First day was Maleficent, second day was Cruella DeVille, and third day was Harley. I got the chance to see her on the Cruella day. Fabulous. But I had to grab this Storm. You might know her from her covers, but she did this back here, which was one of the Marvel albums that they did. Those covers they did back, I can't remember when. I love that one, but I couldn't walk away without Storm.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
It was, yeah. And she's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, there was just something about Baltimore that was easier for me to buy art this year. And I don't know why versus New York Comic Con. I don't know if it was just Artist Alley was, solidly curated, or just because I knew that we could just put it back into the in the hotel. So.
I think that was exactly what it was. I think access and knowing we could just throw it back. B Black says, "Happy Halloween week. I never grew up celebrating Halloween, but my wife totally has me watching Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is an underrated gem, by the way. I should
Hell
mention.
yeah.
What's been your favorite Halloween lawn setup candy, and do you decorate? We do decorate.
Oh yeah.
We do
Oh
have
yeah.
candy. I like to have full candy bars, or at the very least, full options. And as far as favorite Halloween lawn setup, there's a neighbor who used to be my middle school superintendent, who goes all out. And not only does he go all out on Halloween, I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but the family keeps that tradition going and has since I was in grade school.
Mhm.
And they went nuts. I'd never seen like a full on Halloween display like this before, where it was
Mhm.
like animatronics and whole like setups and dioramas and whatnot. But they also do it at holiday time. So on Christmas, you go up the street, and that house has like infected everyone else on that street to go further.
It's a holiday plague.
It's a holiday plague. I love it, but they only really the Halloween one is just for them, really. But that actually snowballed to making it into like a Christmas display that like has infected the entire avenue. So one of our actually apropos of our Halloween favorite lawn setups, it's actually one of my favorite Christmas traditions is to get the family into the car, and then we drive up this street and just like look at everyone's decorations.
Yeah, really
But
do love it.
yeah,
And candy-wise, we're a full-size house. We
yeah.
we get the full-size candy bars.
hmm So yeah, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
KB, holy cow, ComicPop After Dark is back. Yeah, this is actually just off the rack after dark. So hopefully you're enjoying it.
It's getting
Justin Guy,
getting saucy.
happy Halloween, guys. Yes, it is Halloween.
It
We're getting
is.
there.
It's
Uh,
6 days away. Someone just mentioned, I was like, "I haven't done enough Halloween at all.
no,
I
no.
gotta up my Halloween game."
Deb M, what a way to end this weekend. Tiffany, that office is a mood I can get behind. What are you
Thank you.
drinking? Also, was Krakoa mentioned in Dark Ages? Krakoa's not mentioned in Dark
No,
Ages, and I
no.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think they're just taking the spirit of what Krakoa was or is and kind of translating it into there. You can think that it was there or not based
Yeah.
on so far in Dark Ages. What am I drinking? It's an herbal tea. And thank you so much. I've been working hard to curate this space, and I have a bit more wall over there you can't see that doesn't have anything on it yet, but luckily we just purchased a bunch of art. So back to trying to figure out how to put all of this up.
Exactly.
I don't know if you
Dan,
can. Oh, hang on. I just want to point out my Mark
oh,
Texiera. I don't know if you can really see it. But it's a Ghost Rider drawn by Mark Texiera in pencil. And what's hilarious, which you can't see, is on the back. We got it at an auction at a local con. He was there. I brought it over to him so he could sign it to me because it's signed by him, but I wanted him to make it out to me. I wanted him to customize. And on the back, he drew another tiny Ghost Rider.
so there's like a secret skull back there.
Yes. Well, it's just like on my glow in the dark cover. He signed it in the flame and
Flame.
drew another Ghost Rider skull. Guy
Right.
just likes drawing skulls.
He's good at it. That's why he's one of your favorite Ghost Rider artists.
Yes.
Dan V900. If I were to have Garth Ennis sign anything, it'd probably be Hitman 34, which is the Superman issue. Those Sarah chapters sound more like Battlefields, which is under TKO. Probably can't be said. Sure, probably. Who cares? B Black says the Trial of Magneto has me like those daytime soaps. Super melodramatic, a bit cheesy, but for some reason can't stop watching. Shout out to 90s X-Men. I promise you, we're gonna get into that.
We're
right
getting to that.
But
sure.
first, let me talk a little bit about Batman Catwoman number 8 from Tom King with newcomer, not really newcomer. He's been around for a long time, but like Liam Sharp is doing the art for a man who couldn't do it, but will be coming back to finish the series to issue 12 eventually. This was fine. I've been enjoying this series for a while. And when Liam Sharp was announced to jump on board, I was like, oh man, like I really wanted it to be cohesive. I wanted it to be like the same artist throughout. And seeing the new Liam Sharp work, it really lent itself to something. And I think there's an argument could be made for it being thematically, justifiable to switch it up so drastically. But this issue failed to do that. This issue was, I lost you. I'm sorry. This issue was not, it was fine, but without Clayman's art and without it being as this was a little more loosey-goosey, and there was no I couldn't find the theme that allowed it to be that way, that justified it. You know, it was just
Mhm.
Liam Sharp being like, "Let me just draw some cool shit." And I'm like, "That's cool, but like this book is supposed to say something, it's trying to be something, and that's
Mhm.
not what we're doing here right now." You know, it's not this
Yeah.
ain't Reptile or Reptilian.
Reptilian.
Yeah, this isn't Batman Reptilian here. You
Which
know,
is
this is Batcat.
yeah.
That being
Yeah, yeah,
said,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's very interesting. I'm enjoying
Well,
it. It's
I
setting things up, you know.
don't forget too, they were supposed to have that Batman Catwoman special that was supposed to be coming out in, I believe, in July,
Mm,
but, was it, Jean-Paul Leon had
yes.
passed?
Yes.
And so they had to delay it. So I think they're just concerned about just delays in general. I mean, a lot
Oh,
of their books
yeah.
have been delayed recently due to artist issues. I'm looking at you, Wonder Girl.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at
But we'll
you.
talk about her in a minute because,
We
like,
will,
well,
yeah.
later on in the show.
Yeah, but, like, I'm sure they're like, "If you are okay with another artist doing it, let's just do that," because with delays in terms of artists and then delays in terms of, like, supplies,
Yeah.
like, they gotta have some consistency somewhere, and, like, the consistency isn't gonna come in the art necessarily.
Right.
So,
Uh, whoop. Axe with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Axe. Appreciate it.
it's dope. It is throwing up the horns, and it's rocking out at us.
Nice. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Axe. And Nerd King 101, Hoboken takes Halloween very seriously. There's a massive contest. The mayor gets involved. Your neighbor would do well here. Yeah, I feel like they'd be blown out of the water. The reason why, like, he did so well for so long is because he had no competition. But it wouldn't be a competition for a
Mhm.
while. But yeah, but yeah, that's cool. I remember I didn't really do a lot of like Halloween competitions or anything. It wasn't really like that kind of thing. I like trick or treating, and then when I was when I became like a teenager, I was too cool to do that until I was a senior in high school, and then I was like, I'm going trick or treating. This might be my last time.
Mhm.
So, and I was so proud of it because I was Silent Bob. My friend was Jay. He had actually long blonde hair, so it really worked out. We were so proud of our costumes, even though nobody in the neighborhood knew who we were.
Who cares?
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. The other thing I'll mention, just why not, is because it is like the big thing is Nightwing number 85
Mhm.
from Tom Taylor and Rodriguez this time. This
Mhm.
is a tie-in to Fear State. If you don't care about Fear State, you don't need to read this at all. But it is still Taylor, and Taylor is justifying his existence here by making it a like Barbara-centric Nightwing book.
Okay.
Barbara needs to take. Uh, the Seer has taken control of Oracle's operations and is using it against the Bat family, and
Mhm.
so Nightwing and Batgirl have to team up to take down the Seer and her operations through the back door of the Oracle program. So we also get it punctuated with some beautiful flashback art that showcases like the old days when it was like just Babs and Dick like being Batgirl and Robin like doing their thing, and it's so representative of the nostalgia that one feels when you see these two together that it really justifies its existence. You get to see Tim represent. You get to really like hammer home this thing where it's like Barbara is like dancing on a wire when it comes to her paralysis, and we really don't want to overdo it. There's a lot of peacemakers and whatnot,
Okay.
peacekeepers, and so
I'm like, "Not
there's
peacemakers."
not peacemakers. That'd be amazing if peacemakers showed up in this book, but peacekeepers and whatever the hell Tynan was doing with Batman and setting up their fear state bullshit and future state bullshit, and I couldn't care less. But there's a lot of fun to be had watching this event that I am not reading from the perspective of characters that I care more about and from an artist and writer who cares to tell that story.
Mhm.
There's the implication that maybe that Batgirl's book will not last nearly as long as people suggested, but I'm sure it is just a red herring.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a good book with some great art, and unfortunately, it's a tie-in, and I really feel bad because there was a lot of momentum and steam behind Nightwing, but this is also a quintessential Batman kind of like tie-in book, and it features the Bat family heavily, and it does a nice job. So I
Okay.
do recommend it, despite it like not really needing to exist at all.
Sure. Okay.
Before we get into the next book, I will also mention the 343 Burning Legion says, "Hey, Sal and Tiffany, any chance of seeing Gillen's Eternals or Fractions Hawkeye on back issues?" You'll see Fractions Hawkeye before Gillen's Eternals. We'll put it that way.
Oh, you think?
I know because
Oh.
like I'm more prepared to do Hawkeye than you are Eternals.
I was like, are we in a race now?
Alex Cash with the super sticker. Thank you very much, Alex.
By
And
the
Dan
way,
V.
it's a controller with like arms and a face and deal with it glasses repeatedly falling down on him. I
Okay, I
love it.
love that. That's
It's really
great.
grumpy looking, and I wish you could see it, but I
Thank you,
can't.
Alex. I'll be able to watch it on the repeat when I put in
Okay.
the chapters.
Okay.
Dan V900. I know you two have talked about the Hell in a Costume and Batcat. Maybe it's just me, but it looks even worse than the Sharp issues. It just doesn't work. It absolutely doesn't work. The Sharp is not doing this costume any favors. I actually kind of dug it with Clayman. Could be just because Clayman draws the cheesecake.
I was the one who wasn't a big fan of it.
You were not.
In the Clayman. I have not even seen it because I think I read one issue of this book and I was like, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, no. Well, it wouldn't be for you anymore than it wasn't before. So
And that's fine. I love Supergirl, so that's
exactly. That's the thing is like I don't like his entire Batman run. So like
he didn't care either. That's the thing. He didn't care.
He's a grown up who's like, oh, you didn't like something I made.
Spectacular.
Well, I'm an Eisner Award-winning author who has Hollywood jobs. So like, why would I give a shit what you have to say? And it's like, right on.
That's fair, man. And
Can't argue with that.
you could punch me in the face.
Yeah, well, you could like kill me in a second. But you wouldn't because you're like a grown adult and wouldn't even think about it.
Right.
But anyway, so what else we got? What other books did you read?
I haven't finished it because we left it at home.
Yes,
so
we did.
And that's fine because I don't like to travel with unnecessary books that could get damaged in a car ride.
That's the problem is black book and it was oversized and it should be.
Yeah. No, it should be. And it looks
ironically,
great.
Cliff Chong was at the convention. So
I know. And he was selling them. And I was like, you can't buy it again.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to do it. But we did pick up Catwoman, The Lonely City. I'm about halfway through and I'm digging it so far. I like Chong's work. I know him the most in my head from Paper Girls.
Yes. And Wonder Woman Blood.
And Wonder Woman Blood, yes, for sure. But immediately this style and coloring makes me think of Paper Girls. He did it all. This is a one-man book. Yes. He's writing it, he's drawing it, he's coloring it, and he's lettering it. And he's doing the covers. Although there are jock variants, but like this is a one-man book. So if you ever want to see what an artist will do when they have total control over every element of the book, here's a really great example of it. So far, I'm digging it. Like I said, I'm not done with it. So maybe next week we could chat about it a little bit more after I finish the issue and see how it feels. But it's a Black Label book. It is technically Bat related, but it's not directly about Batman. There's some, you'll see. But kind of cool. Kind of neat. There's a moment here. The premise is it's an older Selena.
Yes.
Kind of like Batman Catwoman.
Yeah.
Who is just getting out of jail. And being thrown back into Gotham today in this book today. And we get a chance to see like a room at one point with all of her costumes in it as though like she's worn all of them. Once. I'm like, that's cool. So
that is cool. I like it.
Kind of neat. Looking forward to checking out the rest of it.
Totally. What else you got?
Oh, well, I've got two more. One of them you read.
Yes.
This is a super light week for me, folks.
Well, it was a weird week, so that's fair.
It was, and there were definitely some other things I would have grabbed and picked up. But whenever we're traveling, this was a legitimate traveling thing. It just turns my brain inside out.
Yeah.
I think I was like, wait, I have to pack clothes. I have to pack things.
Yeah.
I don't know how do I dress? How does one put on clothing?
Yeah.
Sorry about the Death of Doctor Strange. Death of Doctor Strange #2 came out by Jed MacKay and Lee Garbett.
Yep.
This is an ongoing thing that they're doing that includes not only the Death of Doctor Strange 1 through 5. I'm trying to get to the end of the issue here to see what it's 5. But also has tie-ins with Avengers, Strange Academy, Spider-Man, White Fox, Blade, and X-Men Black Knight.
Right.
So there's really 5 core issues of this that'll be dragged out and like broken up by these tie-ins. So this is the second issue. We have not hit a tie-in yet. And then this is showing not only that like I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to critique it a little bit, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. It just means that, let's be honest, I haven't seen a pretty solid Doctor Strange in quite a while. And so like anytime that something seems like it's going pretty okay, I'm immediately going to assume we can't stick the landing.
Right.
Who the hell knows what to do with Doctor Strange anymore. I don't think anyone does. I don't even know what to do with him. Did you just throw up that super sticker?
I did.
It's adorable. It's a lemon person with like a body giving a tiny baby lion a present, and the lion's really excited, and it's great.
These stickers are amazing.
I kind of like the act of having to describe them to you. This issue continues to prove that Jed McKay used to read Doctor Strange back in the day. He actively calls upon names like Agamon and Dagoth and Tyboro and Umar. And the idea here is like, oh, with Doctor Strange gone, like they started moving in. They started moving parts of their realms in on Earth. However, they're not attacking. And it's like, what's up with that? Well, it turns out they're not attacking. They're fleeing something, which to me, my brain immediately was like, haven't I seen this before? And I still can't tell you what I'm thinking of. I still can't tell you what I'm thinking of, but my brain was like, but this Doctor Strange that we have right now, because in the last issue, Doctor Strange died, and then another Doctor Strange showed up with a big blue cloak, and I was like, hey, this is a very distinct Doctor Strange. Very distinct Doctor Strange who has a lesser cloak of levitation. That happened. It was before he was Sorcerer Supreme. So he's like, who's the Sorcerer Supreme? And they're all like, it's like, it was you. And so he's like, there is none right now. He doesn't know half the people in the room because this Doctor Strange never met them before. Inevitably, Captain America calls him and is like, hey, Steve, you gotta come help us out because all these things are moving in. And he's like, oh, no, because like if they're not attacking, just leave them alone. We have to deal with this other thing. And it turns out that this Doctor Strange has 7 days because he watched a cursed videotape. And
oh my god,
no, I'm kidding. No. No, he has 7 days because Doctor Strange took a chunk of time of 7 days and put it. You know what I mean? Like he did that thing, like the Horcrux thing. But
yes, I was gonna say like a
but
Horcrux.
the actual like origin of that. Not I'm using Horcrux because it's a more
colloquial expression of what it means.
You can grasp. Anyone can grasp, basically. And so he has 7 days to solve the murder. And I was like, cool, that's neat, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, we're doing like a detective thing. Doctor Strange has been known to do that, right? Dig it. So what are we also going to do? We're going to reintroduce Clea into the mix. The last time I saw Clea, I think was in an annual.
Yeah.
And it was a solid issue. It was sad, but it was a solid issue. So she shows up because she's running from something and she knew that he would help her, but he's like, oh yeah, you're that chick from the dark dimension. He has no idea who she is. Right. Which does allow us for a later scene that's pretty hilarious because Captain America shows up with the Avengers to like help with something, which I'll explain in a moment. And he's like, Strange is like trying to explain, like, oh, he's after that young, like that lady over there. And Cap's like, your wife? And he's like, my what?
Oh, was I married?
He's like, dope. No.
Yeah.
So this is where McKay is like, listen, I'm gonna prove that I know all about Doctor Strange, but also I have to make my own characters. And so introducing the 3 new characters that are going to be brought into this book as villains because we can't help ourselves but do that. I knew they were coming because we saw a lot of promo images about them to begin with, but they're the 3 mothers. It's the Crown, the Crawling, and the other one.
Okay.
Who I literally can't remember what her name is at all. They're all gross and weird, and one of them has like the Crawling is like a statue that is just surrounded by worms and looks like this like big hulking weird looking thing. It's like a wampa but made out of worms, but a statue head.
Cool.
And it like shoots lasers out of the worm eyes, but it's like if we showed this on YouTube, we might get banned. It doesn't look. It's not. It's too flesh colored.
Okay.
To not look like something else. But they show up and basically they're hunting down magic and they're taking it and they're feeding it to their child. And I'm like, okay, so like, I think I'm just like, okay, what I can't handle right now, I guess, in my brain, and I think I'll be able to, and I think it'll all be fine in the end. But right now I'm like, so the next time I get a decent Doctor Strange is literally something is consuming magic. Much like when Aaron first came on the scene and something was hunting and killing magic. And I'm like, okay, is this just the formula now that like the only way we're going to get a decent Doctor Strange movie is if something is like actively trying to destroy magic in some way, shape, or form? Now, at least with this, it's not magic as a root. It's the characters as sustenance for another being, basically, that we haven't been introduced to. But I'm like, please don't let this be the only way we can get a decent Doctor Strange story is with this sort of storyline.
Right.
They show up. the Avengers come to help. They're immediately taken down. Like, the Avengers don't stand a chance. The magical folk don't stand a chance. And these guys are like, okay, cool. This is where all like the jerks are that we're trying to like feed to our unseen child thing. We'll come back, and they leave. I think this issue is going to read a hell of a lot better in a trade. But considering the fact that, like, I'm like, okay, it's 5 issues with a whole bunch of like tie-in stuff, this felt a little water tready. I'm not saying
really?
it's a bad issue. I'm not saying that because, like, listen, we got the crux of it. We got this unforeseen thing, but really at the heart of it for me, I'm like, I wanted the mystery.
Right.
Where's the mystery? And I'm sure this will all tie in, but it just felt it was a little fluff. But I think in a trade, it's going to read a lot better, for sure. There's just something about it where I'm like, there's nothing bad. There's nothing bad. I can't say like for sure, like this is bad. I can't say that. But to me, I'm like, oh, that was fast. Right. And what did we established a couple of things. We didn't progress any further on the mystery. Right. And we introduced something else. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe. I don't know. So yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying it's bad because McKay has given us a Strange we haven't seen for a very long time. He's taking an opportunity here to write like very old school in terms of the way in which Strange gets to speak without having to make every character speak like that. Everyone gets to react to him being like that. And like, he's a man out of time in a way. So, you know, and we know that it's only going to be theoretically 7 days unless they find a way to extend that or they bring the other Strange back. So I'm like, okay, cool. What's going to happen there? Yeah. We'll find out. But we got 3 new characters, like villains. I'm sure that I don't get the sensation that it's like truly random. You know, with Doctor Strange, you know, they're magic. You're going to invent characters. It's completely okay. You don't always have to use the like
established lore.
The established lore, which typically you're going to fall into a Mordo Dormammu. Like that's, you know, now Caecilius for sure. But like, people tend to look that way because it's easy. You know, they're more of a nightmare. You know, it's like, oh, let's just pick the highest tier ones. At least he's throwing in some older characters. Yeah, Strange has dealt with in the past that are in there, and he's also going to put his mark on it. It's 3 individuals. 3 is a number in magical lore you see a lot when you think about the fates. It's 3 women. You know what I mean? Like, so it works for me. But I was like, oh, there they are. There's his stamp. They're the 3 characters. Yeah. I mean, were I given the opportunity, would I probably do that? Sure. Oh, absolutely. Sure. But like I said, I think it's going to, this issue in particular, be better when it's in a book together.
Okay. Cool. Well, this sounds better than it's been.
Yes. No, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I'm bracing myself for this to not end up being good because I'm enjoying it. And it's, you know, like, I've been disappointed by Strange runs lately. So I'm just like, I'm not like trying like, oh, I hope it's bad because I want to hate on it. I'm like, I hope it's good, but I don't want to get my hopes too up. Yeah. I want to just keep it at a neutral clip.
Exactly.
Neutrality.
And that's Marvel's fault for like not making it that for having those issues.
Yes. Someone mentioned that she looks like a weeping angel covered in worms. Yes. Or if you're a Twin Peaks fan, it looks like the statue at the end of the hallway. That's the head.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's the head to me. And I'm like, okay, neat. Yeah. Also, one of the crown has a big sword, and immediately I'm like, is that Valifax? No. And then I was like, is that the Spirit of Corruption blade? No. I don't know. It's just a big sword. Okay. Technically, it is Valifax because Valifax is all blades.
Right. Goku says, got a nurse checking on me.
Hold on. I'm going to reread that because Sal cut out there for a moment and hopefully he can hear me. I don't know that though. So I'll reread that super chat.
Yep.
Saying, Goku says, got a nurse checking on me. I'll have to catch the rest of this later. Love the surprise live stream. You guys rock. Can't wait for Halloween back issues. Well, Goku, I hope you're okay. If you've got a nurse checking on you, I hope it's, you're like recovering from something and all is going well. But hopefully we'll see you later on, the replay.
Yep.
But yeah, you know, good wishes.
Exactly. Gotham City Critics. Hey, ComicPop, how was Soul Plumbers?
I read the first issue, and honestly, initially, I was like, eh. But then by the end, I was like, oh, Okay. Like, it's written in a very distinct way, and, like, there's a lot of, like, I live in New Jersey, and I curse all the time in the car. I do, but it was just written in that way where there's a lot of curse words that are being thrown around, and I'm like, "I don't know if I like any of these characters," but by the end, like, the concept of what they were doing, I was like, "Alright, that's interesting."
Cool. All right. And is it finally? We'll see. We're talking about the Trial of Magneto #3 from Lee
Yeah.
Williams. Uh, Here it is. I don't remember how many issues it is, but we'll get into that eventually.
Mhm.
The Trial of Magneto. Uh, Written by Lee Williams with art by David Messina and Lucas Wernick. It's not really about Magneto anymore, nor is it a trial at all. It's just the retconning of Wanda. And listen, okay, so this is the new the whole thing's about Wanda, and I think that's awesome because like Wanda needs a retcon.
She needs something for sure, or like, because they did something, when she had the Scarlet Witch book that was gone,
Yeah,
and they were doing stuff with her there, but then it's like they just kind of laid back into like or leaned into the like she's a villain, and that's okay. Like, if you want to lean to that, like she needs to work her way up, or that they don't want her, you almost don't have to. Like, you kind of addressed it. You didn't really have to. You did trigger something that we see in this issue in some previous stuff with X-Men. Um, but she was teaching at the Strange Academy, like, you know what I mean? Like, when Aaron was writing Doctor Strange, and it was like the Death of Magic, she was right there with them.
yeah, yeah. They don't care.
She's found a home in magic.
Yeah, no, they don't care about that.
I
But
realize that.
yeah, no, and that's what this book is. It's just like
I think
okay,
it's
so
5 issues, by the way.
oh, good, okay, well, then we're almost over. But yeah, so Wanda's back, and she's like she's an older version of herself, an older backup. They're like, well, now we know what's up. Like something happened, but we don't know why
Yeah,
she got resurrected. We didn't authorize this. We can't tell the Avengers that we have resurrection protocols.
right.
So we just have to be
She
like, oh, cool, let's have dinner.
Yeah, she's also like, I'm like, it was funny because I just read Doctor Strange before that, and I was like, they had already set up that he was clearly like a man out of time, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Wanda is too? Okay, cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're just gonna do it with all the magic characters. Can't wait for
Yeah,
Brother Voodoo and Brother Voodoo's dead brother from the past to show up and stuff. Like,
yeah.
in any case, she's back. They use Jean to dump. No, is it Rachel or it's
They
Rachel
use Rachel, and then Rachel tapped Jean in to help.
to dump
Her
info into her head.
What they call her greatest hits, because 'cause they're like, "Is that really fair to her?" They're like, "We'll just give her the greatest hits."
That is so stupid
Well,
and
it's not
so
just her
dangerous.
okay, so her greatest hits, I thought when they said that, it would be like her heroic times,
Yeah.
but that's not what they did.
No, they showed you all the points when she was the worst.
Mhm.
Like the most memorable and like I guess that's a great way to highlight like if you remember any Wanda story, it was never when she was a hero. Like,
I guess, I mean, like, I read a little bit of her in the Scarlet Witch series, and I thought that was good, and I liked her very much so when she was in, Way of the Weird, and,
yeah,
The Death of Magic and all that. Like, I really enjoyed that, and I liked her role in that, but I don't always think of her as a villain. Like, I think of her, she's a tragic
she
character.
is. Yeah, but the X-Men don't give a shit about that, and they only think of her as a boogeyman. So we might as well just make her feel that way anyway.
Mhm.
Let's like she's back. She has less baggage, but let's load her up with baggage. So they do. It doesn't matter because like the whole thing is like a red herring. I think the whole thing is just smoke and mirrors. Like we're meant to think, oh, this is perfect. Like this is like making Hank Pym a Skrull during Secret Invasion. We fixed it. We fixed Wanda, right? Because she
Mhm.
knows now that she shouldn't do those things that she did that made her a bad guy or made her complicated. So we can and we can just purely be like, it's Wanda. Everybody remembers her, and she's Magneto's daughter again. Uh, Instead, all that's happening. Then they get attacked by kaijus for way too long. Who gives a shit?
Oh my god, those pages, those
Just
panels, I was like,
just total waste of time.
"It's
Just
just
literally
filler."
once you see the legitimate like copies of Pacific Rim kaiju monsters, like knife heads there, then you can skip it because the whole thing. Don't read this. Like, don't buy this. This is not worth buying. But uh, but it's interesting because it's doing things that I want. It's like let's fix Wanda. Let's fix these characters that like we need to use, that we'd like to use, that we've really like messed up with continuity by using continuity and story to fix it. And
Mhm.
so Wanda is like kind of a blank slate. She has she has context for what she's doing. Wiccan and Speed are like, dude, come with us because now you know who we are. We can hang out and stuff. But Wanda herself, like the true Wanda who died, is actually in another realm, kind of like watching it all happen. And she's being annoyed by a character who I thought was Moon Knight for a second, and then turns out to be just like another character. And the big reveal at the end is that this character has been like bugging her the whole time, and the realm she's in is like the chaos magic realm, or like a realm made of chaos magic.
Yeah.
And the person that's been bothering her is an older version of herself. So it's like, yeah, no, don't. This whole thing is a lie. Like, the book is not the trial of Magneto. This book is the new status quo for Wanda, or what we're going to do with Wanda. And we're hoping that because it has like the Krakoa font, you'll buy it. And so Wanda, like the true Wanda that we know, who died at the beginning of the series, meets old lady Wanda.
Yep.
And that like a Wanda from the future is going to guide the one from the present to, I hope, reconcile herself with her past.
Yeah, like it. I will say though, because we are dealing with a person who has the ability to control reality, I'm like,
Right.
you can't trust anything that's happening
No,
at
that's true.
all. You can't
That's
trust
true.
that any of it will remain.
No, big time.
Like, and I have to, you have to keep this in mind. Bear in mind too that like apparently I believe this wasn't supposed to be an event.
Nope, it was supposed to be just an X Factor, I think, or something.
Yeah, but they
And
decided
Marvel
it
was
was
like, but this is a big deal.
Yeah, so like I don't want to call out Leah Williams on this at all because
No.
this was not the plan. This was not the plan.
No.
This was this was thrust upon, like, do this.
Yeah. I mean, and on one hand, it's nice because it's like you're given more room to do
Sure.
more. Like, now it doesn't have to be just starring the X Factor cast, or it doesn't have to be like directly tied in with the Krakoa plan.
Right. Well, I think it's also like, if you're working, you got a timeline and a storyline going, and then someone's like, wait, take this thing that you're going to do in this many issues and basically expand it. That doesn't always work out the way you want it to. Like, you do that typically if it's like, I need more books, not like, I want you to, like, I'm going to cancel this book. Now you're going to do it over there. And that's the only thing you're going to do over there. Like, that sucks.
No, yeah. No, I agree. So I'm excited for the potential this has. I fear that Marvel does this where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna give you what you want," and then go like, "Actually, but you need to eat your vegetables. Get used to never get used to things changing and never going back to the way they were, but
Yeah.
never having a satisfactory story that justifies the change." And I fear this whole thing will be bullshit. That like at the very end, there'll be like a quiet council thing where they're like, "This is an informal trial. Magneto, you did fuck around, so we're gonna we're gonna strip you of your title and kick you off the council." And like, it's just something we were gonna do in Dawn of X anyway, but we're just gonna justify it in this event, and we're gonna call it this whole thing.
Right.
And then at the end, there'll be like a moment where Wanda is like, "Oh," like I swear to God, there's gonna be a moment where at the end of this book, Wanda or her astral projection form, or old lady Wanda or whatever, is going to be out there, and she's going to be like, "Am I really a mutant?" And like, no one's going to do anything with it. That is just it's a big FU.
Yeah, I was trying to use my brain to figure out if there was a way, because old lady Wanda or old woman Wanda was wearing a white cloak, if like somehow she took up the mantle or moniker of Magneto and it'll be her trial.
That'd be great.
And
but even then, like, why though?
Trust me, that's why I was like, my brain was like, I don't know, because white cape, and I'm like, that's not enough.
Yeah, no,
that's not enough.
No. Yeah, so I don't recommend this, but like I have hope.
Yeah, like I too can't say I recommend it, but you know that we're going to finish reading it because it's like I can't help it. I
can't look away.
And that's why, like, when someone earlier said it's like the 90s like drama, it's like soap opera, it is a little that.
Yeah, but like not as fun. The old like
No.
if you go back and look at like 90s X-Men soap opera,
Mhm.
you have characters in full body spandex with the brightest colors on earth, with the largest hair on the planet, drawn with the most lines of any human being, like than any artist could ever like fit into a character, going like holding their head and crying because they fell in love with like a duplicate of some other character who doesn't remember that. Like I remember vividly, I think it was Polaris and Multiple Man's multiples being in love with each other, and like just like that's X-Men drama. This is a poorly handled retcon or
Yeah.
a brilliantly handled retcon. We'll see,
We
but
will absolutely see.
it is boring though, because this kaiju thing was clearly like editorial going like, they're in a monster fight.
See, I wasn't sure if that was, like, a distraction.
I mean, easily was a
Created
distraction,
by
but
no,
like,
no, but I mean, like, not, created by Wanda or created by
yeah,
something. Like,
no, it
that
was,
immediately
but
I saw that and I was like, "Oh, that's what it is."
yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely it is, because they can't die and they represent her like cyclical nature. But I would have much rather had a scene or the whole book being characters talking to each other. Because let me tell you something, like the first 3 volumes of Bendis's entire run on Avengers is that, and people bought it more than they're buying this.
Yeah.
And like, so there's a precedent for it. But I'd
Mhm.
rather see these characters interact with each other and like treat each other like, just there's enough crossovers, events, big things where it's like we could use an event where characters just sit the hell down and hash out what the next retcon's going to be.
Mhm.
People stomach that less
Yeah.
than a character appearing as an artificial intelligence on a screen telling you what I should have done for the last 2 years of my run, which is the Spider-Man run.
Right. Well, I think what also is not helping this book right now at all is that Inferno's here. And I gotta
Which
tell
is
you,
just a much better event.
it is a much better event, but it's an event that was meant to be an event.
Right.
An event. It's
Yeah,
meant it's like, and even if you don't treat it as an event, it's more like just like a period in Hickman's run, especially with Hickman's like,
absence.
exiting, like it has some gravitas to it. And so
Yeah.
then to have this book be like having started a little ahead of it and now running simultaneously, it's like if you have X amount of dollars, you're gonna buy Inferno probably over Trial of Magneto.
The worst of it is it looks like if you put Trial and Inferno side by side,
Mhm.
one is what Hickman was gonna do with the X-Men, and the other could be what the X-Men's gonna look like without him.
That don't say that.
Like, that's
But,
the
like
real problem, is like if it was one after the other, you'd have time to like to be surprised. But this is
yeah,
like, here are 2 events. One's Marvel's Hickman's X-Men and one's Hickman's X-Men. And one
right.
sucks and the other one is like at least earned.
Right, but I can't again, I don't wanna treat it that unfairly because it's like this is a prime example of, like, editorial getting involved in something that they really
Exactly.
need to,
No.
and tampering with what someone was already doing. So we
Right.
don't
Well,
know what this could have been if it were just left alone in the X Factor book.
but that's meta comics. Like, that's
I know.
if all you do is look at the books as they are, as they're out,
Yeah.
as most readers, like 98% of readers are gonna.
Mhm.
You have to judge it on like, look at these 2 things, one is an apple, one's an orange, as opposed to
Yeah.
like and listen, I am sympathetic to Leah Williams and her plight, because like she's a she's a great writer. Like, I like things she's written.
Mhm.
So it's not that she's a hack. It's that she is put in this inevitable position of doing an event that she never planned.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And
Especially side by side with an event that like maybe she even like was told about because she's working on the X-Men books.
right, and honestly, like, whatever she does in there has to make sure that whatever the outcome of it has to align with what's going on in Inferno, so it's not like there's gonna, like, be too many, like, shakeups or changes because
No.
whatever happens there, you have to just be able to read Inferno.
Yeah, exactly. Young Gukun over 9,000, he mentions, I feel like Leah's style doesn't work for books like this. Feels like everyone was written really weird, like bad weird. Thought Scarlet Witch would freak out with the memory dump. Lol. Yeah, no, it was very weird. It was weird that, because like we know Scarlet Witch, or at least how Marvel's been portraying her for the last like
Mhm.
couple of years, and to be like, here that she's gonna be like more put together for no good reason.
Well, and, like, I would say though that that comes from web like, it could easily just be crummy writing, or it could be the reveal that like that's not her, and so it's not a
Right.
complete her, and so that like incomplete her wouldn't freak out.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe it's just something like that. I don't know for sure. And I honestly I'm like I'm not like trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to be fair and be like, we have to at least see the outcome of this because it could easily be
Totally.
not worth it and 100% like, nope, it was just not good.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it could be like, oh, it was unfortunately a painfully slow build to something.
Right. Jam Call X. Yes, hard downloading her most painful points. Callous Krakoan cruelty at its finest. Yeah.
Yeah, not really where I thought that that was going. Although when you think about it, I guess you have to give her that memory back because too many people know that. And
Right.
so then she'd be like, I don't understand why everybody's being such a jerk to me.
Or you could talk to her like a friggin' human being and just be
Well,
like,
yeah.
so, a couple of years ago you did this thing. Like that's how people get caught up to speed normally.
Right, but maybe the problem with that is that listen, we've seen Wanda before. Oh, and we do see that thing where she utilizes the staff, and they're like, "What the hell was that?"
Right.
And that staff we saw, I think it was during Empire.
I think that was the zombies versus plants episode.
Yeah, but like
chapter.
she utilized that, and they didn't know it, I guess.
Right.
And so like that, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting to call back to that."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we
that's
haven't really
cool.
touched that.
No.
Um,
And Hickman wrote that, I think, right?
yeah. I think it was with Leah, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure about that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not 100% on that.
Mm.
But knowing Wanda and her desire to fix things or make it better, maybe talking to her and just telling her wouldn't be the best thing because then she'd be like, I gotta unlock my memories.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like maybe
But those
that
aren't your
was
memories anyway. Those are other people's memories about you.
Yeah, that's true.
Demonic Nico, I've been watching you guys for about a month or so, and I could say I love how you do comics with other people not knowing what's happening. It's awesome format. Keep it up, Sal, Tiffany, and friends. Thank you very much, Demonic
Thank
Nico.
you.
Yeah, that's the
you.
back issues over on youtube.com/comicpop, which by the way, we're very close to getting 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, go over there and check it out. And of course, don't
Yeah.
forget to subscribe here at ComicPop Returns. But thank you very much, Demonic Nico. Welcome to the family, man. Welcome to the population.
I don't want to actually you, but it's Neko. It's cat in
Oh, excuse me.
Neko.
Algae Try late night showing. Can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah. Thank you very much,
Hell
Algae.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
That's right. Here we are.
So that's that. Let's jump into some recommendations or comics that are coming out this week.
I also want to address, I saw a couple people
Please
come
do.
in later during the episode who were like, why are they split up? We're not split up. I'm just at home because we literally just got back from Baltimore, and Sal was like, let's do the show. We didn't want to make me have to like leave the house because I actually we have the day, I have the day off tomorrow because we're going to be doing something. But then like I had a wonderful weekend, but it was a lot. It was a lot of traveling. So he just wanted me to have an opportunity to just kind of relax and be at home. So I am. And I've got a cat here. You can't see him, but he's here. So like that's the only reason I'm here. Also, this is where I do my Twitch streams from. So it was set up and ready to go.
Exactly. Which you can follow her over at twitch.tv/comicpop to see more on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Demonic Neko returns to say thanks for the reminder. Forgot to sub. Well, thank you very much,
Oh,
Demonic
thank
Neko.
you.
And you didn't have to do that. I would have seen you in there. But thank you so much, Demonic Neko.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So let's jump into some books. I'm recommending a bunch of comics because it's a heavier week.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that again has to do with that supply issue because usually the last week of the month not this heavy.
Yeah,
this is
right.
RP. This is one of those weeks that like I particularly hate because I think it's unfair to anyone who has a budget. And like honestly, even I look at these expenses and I'm like, good God, there's just something about it being spread out a little bit more.
It helps.
Doesn't hurt so much. It doesn't hurt so much. But like if you're going like if you're living week to week, which we've all been there, like a week like this, it's rough.
Yeah.
Real rough.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still gonna give you recommendations and hope that you make the best choices for you and your wallet.
Exactly. I'm recommending Detective Comics 1044 from Mariko Tamaki and Stephanie Phillips with art by David Lapham. New arc. And the cover was just a lot of fun. It reminds me of an older Batman book.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man 77 from Patrick Gleason and Zeb Wells with and Saladin Ahmed. This is beyond Chapter 3. I just like the cover. It's cute and fun. And I'm looking forward to more. Ben Reilly Spider-Man. We'll see what happens. Daredevil 35 from Chip Zdarsky and Stefano Landini. We get to see the climactic battle between Elektra, Daredevil, and Bullseye clones. That's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I love the series. If you haven't already read it, you're probably going to enjoy it. I don't know if you have this on your this is probably on your list, but Inferno number 2 is coming. Inferno number 2. Inferno number 1 was amazing. This one is Jonathan Hickman with art by Stefano Caselli. I can't wait to see what happens. The fallout from the first issue, it felt like 7 issues. It's just so exciting. And I think that's it. Oh no, of course, DC versus Vampires number 1.
Okay, yeah, I had that on my list.
Okay, all right.
Go
Well, I'll
for
let
it.
you
Go
take
for it. No,
over.
no, no. Go, go, go.
Well, it's James Tynion in the 4th and Matthew Rosenberg with art by Otto Schmidt. Yeah,
Otto
give
Schmidt,
me,
yes. Anything.
give me more.
Anything.
I'll take it. Thank you very, very much. I'll read the shit out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, those are my picks for this week. I'm pretty sure. Oh, and also, of course, I want to also just give a quick shout out to Harbinger number 1 from Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. It's a pretty book. I've gotten to take a look at. I think I've read this issue, and it's a pretty book. It sets up. It's very like new reader friendly. You'll have no trouble getting an understanding of who these characters are. At least Peter, for that matter, and the art is just so great. So I think you're really gonna dig on it. Again, like Shadow Man was a revelation for Valiant. I'm hoping that Harbinger has the same effect.
Cool.
Speaking of that, by the way, I should also mention that, of course, the new arc from Shadow Man is coming, and it looks incredible, despite John Davis Hunt not doing it this arc, but he will be taking over the next arc again. But the new art is awesome.
It is. It's fire.
Yeah.
It is fire.
Between us, B Black says, okay, last Halloween question. Have you ever seen a ghost?
No.
I've never seen a ghost.
No.
I've thought I've seen a ghost, but I know what it is now.
I had family who's had experiences.
Yeah, me too.
Experiences. But no, I've never seen a ghost.
Yeah, my dad, I think,
and I don't
thinks
want
he's
to.
seen a ghost. Yeah, no, because my situation is.
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, if I saw a ghost, I'd be like, oh no, I'm insane. And that's like the sad part. Like,
that's so not my thing. Is if I saw a ghost, I'm like, it's all real. Nothing is safe.
I'm okay with it. I would love to see a ghost, but I know that if I was seeing a ghost, it'd be because I'm hallucinating.
See, okay, no, I just assume I'm like, no, once you see a ghost, that's it. Then it's like vampires, Sasquatches, werewolves,
right?
Chupacabras, demons. It's all coming for you then.
Yeah, they're all like, programs doing what they shouldn't.
Ghosts and werewolves
and vampires are real.
All right, so for recommendation. Now I just even in my head saying that. For recommendations, I'm going to give a shout out to Moon Knight number 4 coming out from Jed McKay with art by somebody, Alessandro Capuccio.
Yeah, Capuccio.
Yeah, I was kind of digging on this series, so I'm going to check it out. We're going to have an appearance by Tigra in this, so I'm like, let's see where we're going next, Jed. Yeah. Marauders number 25, one of the many, many X titles that are coming out this week. There are a lot of X titles coming out this week. I will not be really talking too much about all of them, but I'm going to give a shout out to Marauders, written by Jerry Duggan, with art by Phil Noto.
Nice.
This is where Noto ended up after Cable ended, so it's just a good thing for me. I love this because the cover shows Emma Frost with like diamond those
knuckles.
Things. Yeah, what are they called?
They're called brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles. Well, they're diamond knuckles.
Exactly.
And essentially, it's like you don't cross Emma Frost, even if she's the one who crossed you first. And I'm like, I love that. I love that. I'm in. Whatever you're gonna do with it.
Yep.
Sword number 9 is coming out. I think we're back. Last time we did like a Storm Spotlight issue, which I truly enjoyed, but recognize that it didn't really feel like a sword book. But I think we're back to things. Written by Al Ewing with art by
Jacopo Camagni.
Camagni?
I think the G is silent.
Oh, okay. I want to say all the letters. As many of the letters, I don't know why. I love that book. Sword is easily one of my favorite X titles right now, especially since Hellions is going away.
Yep.
Wonder Girl number 4 is coming out finally.
Yep.
Listen, I totally get that Joelle Jones, like, she needs her time. I would wait.
Yeah, don't replace.
But they have. So Joelle Jones is a writer and artist and cover artist, but also Andrea Millo is also working on this.
And I'm sure they do a good job. But
I think in order to get this book out, because there's going to be that crossover event with the different Wonder characters, that they had to bring someone in. But honestly, I would wait. I would rather have an original graphic novel drawn completely by Joelle Jones, because like there's just something about her art. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And if she needs the time, maybe that's the way to go with it. Is to give her an original graphic novel instead of a monthly title.
Yeah.
I want to those who are enjoying. I'm all over the place. Those who are enjoying Something Is Killing the Children. House of Slaughter #1 will start this week.
Hey.
So you might want to grab that one. Oh my god, there's like 1,000 variants for this. This one is written by James Tynion IV and Tate Bromble, with art by Werther Dell'Edera, who is doing Something Is Killing the Children as well. So I don't know if that's like an indication that Tynion's going to eventually step off of this title. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Once and Future Fans #21 is coming out.
Yep.
So, Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora, the dream team for me. I love those two. Dan Mora could draw anything. I'm on board. Kieran Gillen, I will try anything at least once that he's written. And then, listen, folks, like a week or so ago, I came out and I was like, Darkhold, Iron Man, book of the week. I'm still thinking about that book. That book was so freaking solid that I'm going to purchase Darkhold Blade #1. I'm going to do it.
Why
not?
It's
It's a totally different team. It's written by Daniel Kibblesmith, with art by Federico Sabatini.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check that out, see where it goes. But like, I'm hoping it's as dark. I can't guarantee it, but I think it's different creative teams on each books. But like that Iron Man entry, so strong. Maybe not the way to start, unless it just goes up from there. Yeah. I don't know. And also, there's a bunch of Black Label books. I think they're Black Label. No, this one's not Black Label. Never mind. There's a bunch of books that were coming out that was recently advertised in a DC issue I was peeking through. One of them was the Vampires one. The other one is Task Force Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying this. It's written by Matthew Rosenberg with art by Eddie Barrows. And part of the reason I'm wanting to purchase this is because, first of all, it seemingly has to do with zombies. Jason Todd, Red Hood, going to be the focus character here.
Yep. Just like the other Task Force book.
Right. But all of the other characters are dead and brought back. So like Man-Bat's there, Bane, the Arkham Knight, Sundowner, and Mr. Bloom, which I was like, literally, we were just talking about the other day how we haven't seen Mr. Bloom, and I really kind of liked that character.
Yeah.
And I guess I missed that he died.
Right?
I'm like, did he die in the book? In my head, he didn't. And I guess he did.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you go, Bloom, apparently, but I got to check this out, at least for the first issue. And then who knows what will happen after that. But like I said, heavy week.
Yes.
Heavy week. Gonna take a lot of time to read all these books.
Yeah, We Only Find Them Where They're Dead is coming out also.
I know. There's like I had to really cull the list. The Wolverine's coming out this week too. Like it's just there's a lot. There's a lot, folks.
Gunslinger
and, like,
Spawn.
What?
Gunslinger Spawn.
Yeah, I heard.
Have you ever wanted to see Spawn as a gunslinger? For whatever reason, people are like really hyped about this book, and I'm like, it's just all right.
Okay.
Yep.
Why not?
People are hyped. I don't know why.
He died in A Day. There you go.
Okay.
That's when Mr. Bloom died.
Oh. I don't count that. That's horse shit. Stop saying A Day like that's a thing. It's not your fault. I'm talking about like these, like James Tynion IV was like, hey, A Day, I'm doing this thing. Also, fuck you. I'm taking my money and going later.
So, you know what sucks about that? Bloom hasn't been back. He came back to die.
Right? That's so stupid. Anyway.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Red Dead Spawdemption. Oh my gosh. Our chat's pretty clever. They're the
cleverest. But yeah. So that's all the news it's fit to print. We're really excited about all these books, despite how expensive this week's going to be. Again, like Tiffany said, pace yourself. If there's something that can be put on the back burner, do so. Obviously wait, because you can get them for cheaper later on in back issues. Not to be confused with our amazing show back issues on youtube.com/ComicPop, which you can watch anytime. But there's more to it. But listen, there's alternatives. For example, you should get ready to celebrate Scottober this October with 3 brand new titles from acclaimed comic book writer Scott Snyder and Comixology Originals, featuring art from superstar artists like Greg Capullo, Francesco Francavilla, and Francis Manipul. These titles will be released throughout the month of October and will be available via Comixology Unlimited. You can try Comixology Unlimited today with a free 30-day free trial. Did I mention it's free? Get unlimited access to over 40,000 comics, graphic novels, and manga. You can go to Comixology.com/unlimited now to begin your adventure. So check those out. I've read them all, and they're all good.
Nice. Awesome.
So
I
yeah.
have not read any of them yet.
No, you haven't. But I bet you like the Francavilla one the most.
Yeah. Night of the Ghoul.
Night of the Ghoul. I bet you
Ghoul.
do.
I like the word ghoul.
Well, who doesn't? It's a great book. It's a great word.
It is. It could be something super scary or like, cheesy and stupid.
Right. Or you could it's a great insult for somebody. Like I have definitely called people that.
A
Where I'm
ghoul?
like, yeah, like you're a ghoul. Get away from me.
I've never called anybody that in
Yeah.
earnest.
Usually they're people who like take pleasure in suffering. Like they're like
Oh,
people
yeah.
who it's a rare insult to use, but it's biting because people go like, oh, like usually I haven't heard that word in forever, and you used it to describe me.
Yes,
But,
as in the chat, as it was said, it could also be a Batman villain and
Yeah.
an Al Ghul.
And Al Ghul, yeah, true. Good point. But listen, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels here on ComicPop Returns and over on youtube.com/ComicPop. Follow on twitch.tv/ComicPop. Check us out for doing gaming streams. Tuesday, Tiffany's going to be playing some friggin' Guardians of the Galaxy. You're going to want to check out that game. If you don't want to buy it, watch Tiffany play it. See if it's right for you. Outside of that, of course, you can support your local comic book store and help us out by joining us at patreon.com/ComicPop if you want to make us, be able to have better lighting and better internet. If we did have any hiccups, please know it is not the fault of your computer. It is the result of monopolies in the telecom industry, and I'm going to be talking to them in the next few minutes about why we had them at all, because I'm paying a lot of money for it. But outside of that, is there anything else we should remind everybody about?
That our Halloween back issues will be coming out this week, and so be on the lookout for it.
That's very true. That's very true.
We all got dressed up.
We did. I think you're really going to like the costumes that were put together. And I don't know if the episode necessarily makes them look as good as they do in person, but we had a little bit of a photo shoot. And if you follow us on Instagram.com/ComicPopOfficial, in the next couple of days, I feel like we're going to be posting some photos from that experience. So yeah. And I guess you can follow us on TikTok.com/ComicPapa to see us do TikToks. That's a thing.
Hell
Anyway,
yeah.
hell yeah. All right,
Hell
folks.
yeah.
We'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode of Off the Rack and more. So see you next time. And keep reading.
Bye.